An NBA insider has just dropped a wild Lakers report that not only has fans very intrigued, but changes the outlook of the rest of this offseason for Rob Pelinka and reveals Pelinka's next move. We're going to break down exactly what this report is and discuss what it means going forward. We also have an interesting Lakers update surrounding Luka Doncic following his performance with Team Slovenia in Eurobasket. A ton to go over today, folks. Before we get into it all, quick reminder to hit the subscribe button. Your guys' support's been absolutely unbelievable. You guys have been beasts of the support, so make sure to hit that button and bear with me. I'll be back to my normal setup on Tuesday, so thank you guys again for your support. Folks, a lot to go over today, and a new report has dropped from an NBA insider that not only kind of came out of nowhere, but is quite unique. You can see this here. LeBron James, hated rival, is the perfect upgrade target for the Lakers. This would be a wild twist. And we can see here, obviously we know the NBA regular season is still well over a month away, but the Lakers fans are already thinking about midseason wing trade targets. The name that Jovan Buha brought up isn't one that fans thought they'd hear, but it's possible given his new team. Who is that player? None other than Dillon Brooks. And of course, we know the history of Dillon Brooks. We know how, obviously, Dillon Brooks and LeBron, they've had their beef in the past. And again, this article refers to it as a midseason trade target. Of course, it could happen, this offseason, it could happen sooner. However, for now, we'll just focus on the player himself. And it is Jovan Buha. He said that despite the hesitation about what Dillon Brooks brings or doesn't bring offensively, he called Brooks the closest thing the Lakers could get to a real two-way wing. Buha noted that Brooks has bought into his role offensively more since being traded from Memphis, and that he has improved as a shooter, and he also highlighted Dillon Brooks' defensive tenacity. Now, we know they already got Marcus Smart, and the Lakers, I still think they're one piece away from being a true championship league favorite and contender. However, if things play out well, ultimately, I'm not going to doubt Luka Doncic, I'm not going to doubt LeBron James. I think that they are still and Austin Reaves, they are a championship contender. Now, I want you guys to let me know down below in the comment section, do you think this makes sense? And specifically from the perspective of the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, whether you want to consider it an off-season trade now, whether you want to consider it a trade at the trade deadline, whenever it is, getting Dillon Brooks, I think, could be almost the missing piece that they need. Now, bear with me while I say that, because Brooks, obviously, a lot of fans hate him and a lot of fans, don't like him. I still think he's a very, very good player, right? And an extremely good player who, despite the beef with LeBron and all these different things, would fit very, very well. And again, NBA insider Jovan Buha, formerly of The Athletic, names Dillon Brooks as a wing trade target for the Lakers. And currently, he ended up in the desert as a part of a multi-team trade that sent Kevin Durant to the Rockets. And Matt Ishbia of the Suns believes that Phoenix could contend for a title. But once he realizes that won't happen, the Suns could be sellers at the deadline. And Brooks can help a contender when he understands his role. So, a few different ways here. Obviously, a trade this offseason is less likely. And I don't think many moves are going to probably happen here for the Lakers over the next few weeks. Still possible, but I think the Suns will probably try to compete with what they have. But as a trade deadline target, I think it can make a ton of sense. And I obviously don't want to get too far ahead of myself here. There's obviously a lot of different ways and a lot of different avenues, and things could change between now and the end of the the trade deadline, and now between the halfway point of the season. But for that name to be brought up this early, obviously Jovan Buha's very plugged in. He's coming off a season where he averaged 14 points a game and is one of the best perimeter defenders in basketball. We've seen it at the NBA level. We saw it at FIBA for Team Canada when he played them. Played for them rather. And of course, his days in Memphis, he's an elite defender. Now, the question is, how is his, and personality, his energy's there, his personality, how is he as a locker room guy? By all accounts, he's a pretty good teammate, right? It's just a matter of if or if not the Lakers, would be able to give enough assets, and if this is at the trade deadline, of course, it will cost a lot more. But of course, then B, if it's earlier in the trade deadline, it would probably take a load to get him away from, the Phoenix Suns and Matt Ishbia, especially given the fact that Matt Ishbia wants the, Suns to contend. So it's a unique, proposal, and Brooks would fit very well. I mean, I can't imagine a backcourt of Brooks and Marcus Smart, right? That would be absolutely phenomenal, having Smart at the one, Brooks at the three, or you could even have Reaves at the one, depending how, however way you want to play it. And you look at the depth chart, currently, at least as it stands now, Marcus Smart is penciled in, I guess, as the backup shooting guard, which is fine. I still want to see him in there instead of Rui or instead of Reaves. But having a guy like, Dillon Brooks would also help thoroughly off of the bench with scoring. He's a solid shooter and someone that would fit really well alongside Luka Doncic. And I think at the end of the day, the Lakers had to pick between Smart and Brooks, they'd probably pick Brooks, maybe. But to be honest, the Marcus Smart signing is going to go down as one of the best stories of the offseason with the way that he's played. But very curious to see what you all think down below in the comment section. Ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, he is an elite defender and a very good shooter. Will he be able to be available for trade for one? It's obviously a big question. And then beyond that, how will he compete with, LeBron James on the same team? I don't think it would matter. And that's what Jovan Buha says. Like, despite all the, beef and all these different things, at the end of the day, LeBron James wants to win. Dillon Brooks, I'm sure, wants to win. And that's what ultimately is paramount here and matters the most. And again, regarding the package, like, I mean, you have the classic Knecht first round pick, all these different things. I'm not going to go too far into what a package could look like because it could change a lot between right now, which is, of course, this offseason, and then the trade deadline where prices are either higher or lower depending on how Dillon Brooks does himself, because again, he's coming off of a very solid year, not a career year by any means, but a very solid year, and it's going to be interesting to see how he does in Phoenix, now his third team after spending a while in Houston, where he did very, very good last year. Of course, Houston ultimately traded for Kevin Durant, so they had to get rid of Dillon Brooks in that deal. So, folks, let me know down below what your thoughts are. It's a fun talking point. The season's about a month away, and things are a little bit dry right now. So, trying to keep you up to date with the latest news and give you guys the latest content. Now, let's dive into a couple other things. See here, Luka Doncic. He had a fantastic game recently. I just want to talk less about this game against Israel, but more just about how good he has been. I know Okeshi covered a couple days ago some of his, I'm not sure it was this performance or some of his great performances. So I'm going to dive into a little bit here now. And I want to ask you guys to leave in the comment section your projected stat line for Luka Doncic this upcoming year. Because obviously he's had some really good years and he's had some really, really, really good years. Obviously, now he played against Israel, put up 37 points, 11 rebounds, 3 steals, 9 assists. And again, you can see some of the fan reactions there. I'm not putting too much into account here against teams like Israel. Not that they're bad necessarily, but Luka Doncic is on another level. He had a really good game, and he looks in the best shape of his life. His defense, 3 steals, quicker hands, 37-point triple-double, essentially 1 assist shy. He is an absolute beast, and coming into next season, the big question mark will be how he improves following his full season of off-season training with the Lakers staff, with LeBron James, with all these different guys. But I also think, even having guys like Rui Hachimura, having guys like DeAndre Ayton, Austin Reaves especially, to work the whole offseason with, I think that's going to be the most critical thing here going forward. Because at the end of the day, Luka Doncic is going to be an elite talent no matter what. It's really at this point about how much he elevates his teammates around him and whether or not he's going to put up that 32-point season like he did the year before last when he led the Mavericks to the NBA championship, or whether it's going to be the 29 point. It doesn't matter as much to me. What matters is how he's playing defensively, his health, and how he's elevating these other guys around him. And I think players like Rui Hachimura, if he stays in the Lakers, is going to have the biggest impact with a full offseason of training, aside from, of course, Austin Reaves and LeBron James, and of course newly acquired DeAndre Ayton there. So it's going to be wild. He is an unbelievable talent, and to have the first offseason under our belts with him on the squad is super fun. But at the end of the day, folks, all that matters is getting back to the NBA championship and winning it, and having Luka Doncic at the helm is absolutely going to be give his team the best chance, especially compared to some of the other chances that they've had in the past few seasons to make it there, since they won it there a few years ago in the COVID bubble year. But that'll wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on all this. Your guys' support's been unbelievable. Thank you guys for watching. See you later. Cheers.